Karthik, good to have you here. Like, this is the first time I'm doing this on the YouTube channel, and it should be good fun. We've chatted before, and we're going to talk a little bit of contract management today because we love contract management, me and you. We're a bit nerdy in this, and I don't know, I think not enough people talk about it. But first, because you're doing new and wonderful things in the world of blockchain now, like, do you want to tell us what you're up to?
So I recently switched from a contractor role to an organization who's into blockchain, and they're coming up with a tool based off blockchain, which is a procurement solution in the front end, and then all the data gets replicated in the blockchain. So it's quite interesting for me as well. It's something new that I'm going to learn, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's somewhere that I'm going to add value right now. So that's very interesting. And I see a path forward. Right now, the business case isn't that strong on the blockchain side, but I'm looking forward to have that use cases and scenarios where blockchain can add value.
That's a good point, actually, in that I think a lot of people still look at blockchain as very buzzwordy and they don't see the value underpinning it.
It's pretty blurred still. So I want to clear the blurredness and bring some reality to it. And I hope I'm successful at it.
Yeah, I think you will be. Like, there's a massive need for it, and like, obviously, we're going to talk about contract management. I can see the massive need for the blockchain technology underpinning the contract management piece, because part of contract management is trying to keep a good audit trail of all the agreements, the changes, the amendments. You've got smart contracts that you can use to underpin it with blockchain. Like, I see it as very promising.
That's potentially going to be my own baby project, this new company. So I'm looking forward to it. So I am trying to get the blockchain side of things to understand better what happens in the back end. I'm crazy for the contract side anyhow, from a process side. So it'll be a good marriage between blockchain and me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, that's the part that you will see most benefit from using a blockchain solution. In theory, is the process. Almost, maybe automation is not necessarily the right word, but just the way in which it will handle the back end. It's not manual, like someone manually doing everything. It can trigger events using like smart contracts, like we said, or just using the blockchain system.
There's a lot of scope for it, and we've not even scratched the surfaces yet on the blockchain side. So we can take baby steps, and as we can go forward, we can improve. To be honest, the current contract management process or the maturity that we have isn't that great either. So we'll have to bring up the maturity on the contract side, so to say, and then align it with blockchain. Maybe the few organizations are very strong on the contract management process, then blockchain could be an ideal next step for them. But they should figure out their current process itself if they're doing it right or wrong. Where I see a lot of gaps here.
It's so true. It's so true. Like you say, most organizations, they don't know what they're doing with contract management. I mean, like, how you look at it, I mean, what do you see as some of the glaring issues some organizations face with their contract management process? Like, what are they failing to do as part of that?
So what I see in most organizations, imagine this is a contract, they signed it, they open the cupboard and they put it in there and it's done.
See ya.
Contract management. See ya. I'll see you next year whenever somebody talks about it. So that is a major concern, and definitely that needs to change. And the other piece is, it looks like contracts are made by the lawyers for the lawyers.
Yeah, definitely.
For the point that I'm saying, only lawyers get to understand it. The business doesn't see the strategic help that the contract is giving, whereas in reality it does. But it's very difficult for them to translate it to layman's language. So there is a lot of gap out there as well in terms of how the contracts are structured or the verbiage that are used in contracts. That is very legal, or so to say, or very lawyery.
In terms of the point you just made around the legalese nature of contracts, businesses don't understand them. People don't really get it unless they're a lawyer. I mean, one of the first bits of work I did was turn like a 160 crazy page legalese defense contract in government into a 10-page plain English contract that did the same thing. And I was writing it, I was like, there's so much value to the way in which this is now written. And I wasn't like, what I was doing wasn't new. Like I was reading up on it. I found some other examples of consumer companies. Mobile phone brands tend to actually use a far simpler form of language in their contracts. Not all of them, and it depends on the type of contract you get and everything. But if you read through, it's in much simpler. I wouldn't say, it's not quite plain English, but it's not legalese. Do you see a shift to that? If that happens, that it will make contract management easier for people, because contract managers typically aren't legal people.
Absolutely. So all the solutions, all the processes, the overarching theme is making it user-friendly, right? And this is total opposite of user-friendly. And once you have the contracts, something where a person can read it and understand it, I'm sure they will try to also follow the contract. How can they follow the contract if they don't understand it in the first place?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yep. And that's where the abstract document, which you put, thanks for putting it out the other day. The abstract document is kind of helping that piece as well, is because people don't understand what the contract is about. So I am an intermediary in between, trying to condense it to a smaller version so that the person is able to understand, or he's at least able to see what he needs to see. So that's how it helps.
That's a really good point. Like on the contract, like abstract contract summary documents. And what surprises me most of all is when I go around to organizations, that everyone knows that their contracts within that organization are difficult to understand, difficult to read. They've got them, like you say, they've just picked up a contract and filed it away, whether in paper form, which still happens. People like watching this, listening to this, might not realize it because they might work in an organization that is shit hot on this. They might not have paper everywhere. A lot of organizations are like that, or they just have it in their local file system.
The only difference is it could be electronic or paper.
That's
they
it.
Still do the same stuff.
And it's archaic in a lot of ways. They're not using like a software tool. Like, I mean, I use Juro, which is a software tool for all of my contracts, and it's great. It stores them all. I can look at them. But many people don't have tools like that, and they rely on manually going through everything. But they don't have these summary documents, these abstract documents that almost one pages that say, this contract is for this, it does this, this is the scope of work, it's with this supplier, it's for this value, we can put this type of work through it. And these are our top 10 clauses that if we get it wrong, are either going to bite us because we're going to fail, we're going to have some liabilities, or if the supplier doesn't do it, we need to go at them. I say go at them, I don't mean in a really aggressive way, but I mean like it could be a KPI, key performance indicator, and they've not delivered, and you could get some money back for that. Like I don't get why people are, I don't know why organizations don't have or don't make this easy for themselves. Like it takes a bit of work up front, but then if you've got a 5-year contract, it's good.
You know what, Daniel? There are too many librarians in the contract management.
Love that.
And we need to switch from being a librarian of managing, storing the contracts, and move a little ahead of that. The first logical or natural step would be to at least have abstract documents. And I'm sure there's a lot of scope of improvements in most organizations. In terms of at least the pre-contract phase, I'm seeing situations where the relevant stakeholders are not involved.
Yeah.
Right? Or
that's the key.
Procurement or sourcing guys don't involve legal at the right time, And then halfway through the negotiation, they get to know, oh, this is the wrong template. Things like that is like basic things that we shouldn't miss.
Yeah.
And we'll have to keep those in mind. And I know a lot of things, you might not have the money to have a tool, right? But you at least should have a process that you built in that should be able to manage the step. And it's basically, we didn't have tools from
for years,
1800s, right? They didn't came in 1800s. They came recently. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have it or don't. What matters is how you do the process and how you manage it, so that it's least non-compliant or less bleeding for your organization.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, and I love that I mean, when we chat, we kind of, we're probably not good to talk to each other because we just agree with one another. We never disagree, and I can't find anything to disagree with you, so I'm not going to.